What's up, all my wonderful sales people? In this video today, we're going to talk about 3 very monumental and iconic sales books and methodologies, and they are spin selling, gap selling, and the challenger sale. So we will touch briefly on how they are alike, then we will cover how they're different, and from there we will get into a more detailed breakdown of each of the methodologies. Although we would love for you to watch the video all the way through, timestamps will be in the description for you to skip ahead to a part that's most suitable for you. So how are they alike? Well, very customer centric, right? So consultative approach to really uncover what's going on with the customer, what do they actually need, as opposed to what the salesperson is trying to push off on them. Each approach is more fact driven as opposed to assumption. So asking the questions, identifying the problem, and really offering a solution that you do understand the customer actually needs, as opposed to presenting a whole bunch of different things, throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping that something sticks. So overall, they all 3 deal with real problem solving. How are they different? Well, that sometimes is challenging for me to really break down the actual differences, but just starting off with spin selling. Well, spin selling is really more about being an investigator or being someone who really understands a question flow and question format to lead the customer in front of you to come up with their own conclusion as to what the actual problems are that they're dealing with and what solution may actually help them. Gap selling is all about the gap, right? So how can you, through consultation, take that itty bitty tiny crack of a problem and then cause it to expand into a canyon of issues that need to be resolved? So it's all about identifying the current state of where a customer is at, and then you and the customer both being able to understand what that future state is. And here is the gap, and we are going to help you get there. That essentially is what the methodology of gap selling is about. And the challenger sale, it's all about challenging the customer. But really a big difference with the challenger sale is that you are bringing something of value to the customer, something along the lines of teaching them something that they have not thought about before, bringing a reframe of thought, a problem that maybe they just did not realize was as important. And you're bringing new information, new value as a trusted advisor to go along with the actual consultation and discovery process. And now let's get into the breakdown. First up, Spin Selling by Neil Rackham, published in, I believe, 1988. Google it, make sure that I'm right. And this book specializes in 4 types of questions that you will implement in your consultative approach. And I will give actual examples of each one of them. The first line of questioning would be situation questions, which is what the S stands for in spin. My $5 word of how I coin this as context questions, right? You're just looking to understand the actual frame of the situation, the facts about the company before you start getting into the actual problem questions. And keep in mind, the 4 types of questioning is not always in like this actual chronological order. They could be out of order, back and forth, but as you dive into understanding what spin selling is, if you choose to, then you will have more context to that. Example question: how many people are currently involved in managing your supply chain? Another example: what tools are you using to monitor your production timelines? Another question: can you walk me through your current approval process for purchases? So again, we're not asking about the problem. We're not asking about how big the problem is. We just want to know what is the actual situation. The next type of question is problem questions. And you guessed it, the objective of these questions is to cause cause the customer to reflect on what problems are actually going on. Example questions would be, what challenges have you faced with manual inventory tracking? Are there any recurring issues in your customer service operations? How often do you experience downtime with your current system? The objective under problem questions is really to uncover the problem. As we move over to the I, that stands for implication. So implication questions is really looking to identify what is that problem actually causing? How is it impacting you? An example would be, what impact does that downtime have on your ability to meet customer demands? How does this problem affect your overall production costs? What happens to project timelines when you face unexpected delays? The customer needs to understand how exactly are these problems affecting their current situation. And the last type of question is need payoff questions. These questions are designed to assist the customer in thinking about what it would be like to have that problem go away. And remember, the objective here is to ask the questions for the customer to be able to answer that, as opposed to you just telling them. Example, how would it help if you could reduce downtime by 25%? What would be the benefit of streamlining your approval process? How much would you save if you could cut manual errors in half? When the customer has now understood and vocalized the problem, the implications of those problems, be sure to ask the need payoff questions so that the customer can then vocalize what would be the benefit of them actually having the problem solved. Gap Selling by Keenan. I don't know his last name. Published about 3 decades after spin selling in 2018. So gap selling has a number of detailed components beyond what is considered just current state and future state, right? So it's really about being well researched before you ever even approach your customer or prospect. So even on the prospecting side, the gap selling methodology is applied, and then in the actual discovery, the gap selling methodology is applied. There's a section in the book called Know the Problem First, Call Second. Now, I actually use this chart, which you probably won't be able to see. But the chart is about being able to outline potential problems that the prospect would be facing, as well as the impact to the organization and things that you know about the problem. You want to be able to list these out and already have an understanding, because the way that you question will actually go down a directed trail to lead them to understanding what type of problem they're in and what this problem is actually causing. The ideal here is to know a lot of this information ahead of time and use this as your guide in the conversation to really uncover the details of what's going on and to cause the customer to actually come to that understanding as well. By the time you actually present a demo to the customer or get into offering the solution, you should know exactly what is going on at this point. There is no guessing involved. It's fairly tedious work up front, but it can be very rewarding on the back end. And now, the Challenger Sale. For some reason, you just got to say it like that. Written in 2011 by Matthew Dixon and Brent Adamson. So through research, this book introduces 5 sales personas, with the challenger being the persona that the book is obviously about. Those personas are the hard worker, the challenger, the relationship builder, the lone wolf, and the reactive problem solver. Although this methodology covers much more, 3 approaches that the book covers is 1, teaching, 2, tailor, and 3, take control. According to the authors and their research, a good salesperson has the ability to teach a customer or prospect new insights that will cause them to view their problem in a different way. Example questions would be, many companies in your sector are overpaying for shipping by not leveraging third-party analytics. Did you know that? Or how about, your competitors are using automated systems to increase order fulfillment by 20%. Have you considered this? It's about doing your homework and bringing these insights into the conversation. Another thing that good salespeople do really good is tailoring these needs to fit the actual customer situation. You must be able to tailor your message to the audience that's in front of you. That's the business as well as even the individual who's sitting in front of you. An example question would be, given your high order volume, switching to an automated system could cut your shipping costs by 15% annually. Or for a company with your growth rate, you could likely save about $30,000 a year by implementing this automated tax deduction system. And another thing that a challenger salesperson can do well is take control. Listen, you're signing today. Maybe not exactly like that. A challenger salesperson, they just don't shy away from pushing a customer or prospect to look at their situation in a different light. They challenge their assumptions and take control to guide the conversation to a solution. An example would be, I understand you've used this system for years, but sticking with it could limit your scalability. Let's look at why switching now is crucial. Or if you don't address this issue, you're likely to face significant production bottlenecks in the next 6 months. The challenger is a sales persona that was uncovered through research. Well, I've had the opportunity to read all three of these books, and I have thoroughly enjoyed all three of them. Should I or you be implementing all of them into your sales approach? That's not really for me to say. Of course, feel free to follow their platforms for more detailed information on these methodologies. If you haven't read any of the books, which one do you plan on picking up first? Drop that in the comments. See you in the next video.